Good evening, CoachingU4U family. Thanks for joining me this evening. Tonight, I want to just talk to you a little bit and share some of my experience with me. Just basic things, the relationship that I have with myself. And so, before we begin, I'd like to tell you I am your host, Annette Lartigue, here at CoachingU4U. Please see us on Facebook at What Trenton Really Makes, CoachingU4U, YouTube, and everywhere there is a podcast platform. Please join us. I'd like to welcome you. I want to talk a little bit about the relationship we have with ourselves and the relationship I have with me. One of the most complicated relationships we will ever have, in spite of others, is the one we have with ourselves. And the reason the relationship is so complicated is because we can't walk away from ourselves. No matter where we go, we are going to be with us. And so recognizing who we are and what we need is important because we're complicated. And most people will say, no, I'm very simple. I'm not complicated at all. You don't know yourself. Imagine being with somebody all the time as you are with yourself, as I am with me. And no matter what happens, you can't walk away from that person. Ever. You have to forgive yourself for every mistake you ever made. I've made some tremendous mistakes in my life. And God knows at times they were hard lessons and always blessings. I didn't see it then, but when I look back, I realized that everything I went through, I got through. And I'm living proof because as I share over and over again, because I'm still here, I'm sitting here, and I'm relatively sane, believe it or not. A little goofy, but sane. So I have to forgive myself for every mistake I made. One of the largest mistakes I made was in 2011. 2011, a big, big, big mistake. And I paid for it for a very, very long time. But I also learned from it. And that's what matters for me. I have to forgive myself. And it's not always easy. I have to deal with every flaw I have. And I have a few. Some of you may not have any, but I have a few. I can be pretty hard on myself sometimes. I am obsessed with cleanliness, sometimes to the point of craziness. But I am. That's who I am. It's a flaw. It's something I have to deal with over and over and over again. I've learned to relax in my living quarters and in my living area. And that took a long time because I was used to growing up and scrubbing woodwork every weekend and scrubbing floors and waxing floors, and everything had to be spotless and clean. And in spite of very humble beginnings, my mother demanded cleanliness. And I appreciate it today. But those are some flaws that I have. I have to find a way to love myself even when I'm disgusted with myself. And typically, when I'm disgusted with myself, is when I change my behavior. I know who I am. I can't walk away from me. I have to forgive every mistake I make. I have to deal with every flaw I have. And even in my disgust, I have to be okay with me. And I'm sometimes disgusted with myself because sometimes I do the same thing over, expecting different results in some situations. And I just learn, I learn over and over again. And I don't mind learning because learning is from the cradle to the grave. But the most complicated relationship we're ever going to have is with ourselves because we're always going to be with us no matter what happens. And even in that, I've learned to keep it simple. I avoid drama and toxic people like the plague. And I avoid them because it's real easy to assimilate with the people, places, and things you associate with. And so I have to be careful about that. And I know that. And I absolutely know who I am, what I am, and what I need. I know. And even in that, I must still be careful in the people, places, and things that I deal with. So I avoid drama. And, life comes with drama. But at every move, I duck that. At every move, I step to the side. At every move, when I recognize it, I move out the way. And one of the things that I found out is never crowded or chaotic when I'm in my own lane. I constantly remind myself that my happiness belongs to me. In that, I mean, all of the happiness that I am going to have and feel must first come from within. Everything on the outside could be a plus or a minus, but the first happiness comes from me. Complicated sometimes, but a reality. I can control me, and I know that. Everybody else belongs to God. I can control me. And I work in not worrying about the things I cannot change. I work on this on a regular basis. The only person I can change is me. The only person who can define and shape my happiness is me. The only person that can learn and change behavior when I'm disgusted with me, as I am sometimes because of bad behavior, or doing the same thing over expecting different results. But the only person who can learn from that and change is me. The only person in this world who is going to be able to walk away from me is somebody else. It won't be me. The only person who has to forgive me first is me. And then I can seek and ask forgiveness of others. So, hey, you know, living life on life's terms with yourself in your reality and your truth can sometimes be complicated. But I'll share this from the very depth of my soul, the soul of a woman who has had tremendous blessings and even more lessons. It's worth it. It's worth it to work on myself. When I look at the most complicated person in the world that I have to deal with, she's in the mirror. She is the woman in the mirror. I got this. And I want you to know tonight, so do you. Take charge of your life. Be responsible for who you are. And know that the person in the mirror is the person capable of making the biggest change than anybody else. Your happiness begins with you. Be who you are. Be your whole, goofy, authentic, fun loving self. Know who you are, what you need, and what you want. I got what I need. And I promise you that every time I need me, I show up for me. My name is Annette. Thank you for joining me at Coaching You for You. Have a good evening. Stay safe and be well. Life on life's terms is not easy, but it's yours to rock. Rock that thing, baby.